Okay, so hopefully that the wind is not an issue with this because I don't have my headphone in. But I just got off the phone with my new counselor, and I don't know. I want to say he seems like a solid guy. I want to say that because he kept emphasizing, not disrespecting female staff members, and I get that. I get like women disrespect. I get that. Like women should be upheld and all that jazz. But like I don't know. Like from my perspective, I think certain things go out the window when you factor in the idea of like somebody purposely trying to like, you know what I mean? And maybe that's not what's going on. Maybe that's, but he didn't necessarily deny that. He didn't necessarily say, oh, well, I don't think she's purposely trying to. He didn't necessarily say that. He just because was like, no disrespecting women. And I was like, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But also, like, let's understand the situation that I'm in and like the circumstances of my situation and the fact that she's been a very intimate part of that, so she kind of knows what triggers me and like, you know what I mean? And I don't know, at the back of my mind, it's really hard for me to really wrap my head around the idea of people like, how do I say this? Like, of course the wind is picking up. Once again, I hope that the audio is perfectly fine. But like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around the idea of like people using magic to kind of like harm others. But I don't know, like it seems like that's the world that we live in, you know what I mean? And people aren't even bold enough to like, you know what I mean, show their hands. It's just like, I'm gonna do it in the dark, I'm gonna do it secretly. And I think that's the most cowardly thing. Like I one time had somebody tell me straight to my face, like, I'm giving you evil eye or something like that. And I don't know whether or not he was literally just being joking, but the way that our relationship evolved, there's no reason for me to believe that what he said wasn't true. The way that things progressed, I left a charger at his house. He refused to let me inside. He tried to like get into a physical altercation with me. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's hard for me to really not believe that because what the fuck? But yeah, I just got off the phone with him and he just kept emphasizing that no disrespecting female. And it's like, okay, I get that. I'm agreeing with you. But also, I'm in a very peculiar situation and I need that to be respected. Like, I don't care your gender. I don't care your nationality. I don't care your sexuality. Like, this is about human life, bro. Like, what the fuck? And I don't know. If I could try to keep the energy light, not make it too serious. I say it's human life in the sense that, like, I'm working every fucking day. I'm in active addiction. I even told him that on the phone. I texted that to the other counselor. Like, I'm in active addiction right now. Like, and even still, I'm still working towards my goals, and I think that's something to really be proud of. But like, you know what I mean? I'm actively struggling, and I don't know. It's just like a negligence. It's just like you came into this field, and you're supposed to be able to help. And I get it, personal feelings, whatever. But it's like you said you've been trained. I get that, but it's like, do you have the heart to do what you're doing though? And like, I don't really care necessarily how people perceive me. That's not why I apologize. But I did apologize like several times. I was like, this is not who I normally am. I don't usually talk to people like this, but like, that's what happens when I feel like I'm being fucked with, when I feel like I'm being attacked. Like, that's what the fuck's what happens, and I can develop self-control. I can develop, you know what I mean? But like, it's like you poke the bear, what do you expect? You know what I mean? Like, do you expect he's just gonna like smile at you and like be friendly with you? That doesn't make sense. Like, what? And once again, I will allow room for grace, but I'm like 99% sure that these people are purposely trying to like upset me and trigger me, because it's like, from my perspective, once again, if somebody was saying the things that they were saying to me and I was in the position that she was, I think that I would at least try to reconcile and try to like, is assuade the word? I don't know if that's the word, but I would try to like, comfort you and like let you know, hey, like, I'm not against you. I'm not trying to work against you. But no, she didn't do that. You know what she did do when she called me? Because Because, like, I texted her a bunch of stuff. I was like, you're evil. Like, why are you playing for the devil and all that shit? And she called, when she called me back, eventually, she was like, I was just trying to see where all that was coming from. Clock it. Clock it. Because what? I'm just trying to see where that was coming from. What? That is not... What? I'm sorry, but that is not something you say when you're trying to de-escalate a situation. I'm just trying to see where all that was coming from. No sort of like, no, I'm not, that's not true. I'm not working for the devil. That's not, none of that. None of that. And thankfully she didn't try to lie to me. But it's just like, I thought the wind is picking up. I really hope the audio is fine. But, you know, like, I think if you get into an argument with somebody, if you really pay attention to what they're saying and what they're not saying, you'll see a lot about that person's character, you know? Like, if we're in an argument about you lying to me, and instead of you, like, affirming to me, I'm not lying, here's the truth, instead you double down and you're just bringing up points that aren't relevant, or you're saying things that aren't relevant to the, you know what I mean? It's like, bitch, are you stupid? Once again, like, as a mental health professional, you know, it's just like, you know better, you know, but yeah, I don't know. And maybe I'm being stupid because I'm like expressing too much and I'm saying too much, because maybe I shouldn't say, but once again, these are people who are supposed to be on my fucking team. These are people who are supposed to be helping me with my mental health. So I feel like I should feel safe enough to say that I'm in active addiction without you know what I mean, using that against me somehow, you know what I mean? Because it's just like, what? And so I'm supposed to meet with this guy today. He didn't give me an exact time, and I don't know, I already kind of feel like this is going to be a repeating pattern, and like part of me is really exhausted because like, why is this the pattern of my life? And how do I fucking break out of it? How do I fucking stop this? How do I get off this merry-go-round, bitch? Because I think it's one thing if it's just a friend or a partner, but for somebody literally to go to school, do the training, have the position, have the title, and then still have that sort of energy of like, I'm gonna fucking bring you down. Like, I don't know, like, I really had a conversation with myself yesterday, and maybe I was like cyclically channeling, maybe this wasn't my energy, but I had the energy of like, I give up. I really lose faith in humanity. I don't believe in humanity at all. Like, I think we're too far gone. I think too many people are too prideful, too stubborn, too evil, you know? I just don't see it, you know? And I had that moment internally, and I was just like, you know, I'm gonna still show up. I'm gonna still try to be polite and respectful and all that jazz. But internally, I don't believe that humanity is worthy of redemption. You know, I really don't at this point, because like, what the fuck? And like, whatever demons these people may be facing, whatever demons are like coming out of these people, like, I get it. We all have demons. We all have shit that we have to work through. But like, bitch, you don't see me going out of my way to belittle people or to like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, come on, man. Like, I'm literally in active addiction. I think if I had any excuse to be a terrible person, it would be because of everything that I'm dealing with, you know? And it's like, I guess it's like a testament to how strong I am, but once again, it's just so tiring, because it's like, what the fuck, you know? And I don't know, I think part of where the frustration comes from is because they want me to react a specific way, in a way that hurts me. But when I don't do that, and when I only say things or do things that potentially hurt their ego, it's just like, but it's like, bitch, you kept pushing me. You don't get to control how I blow up. You know, if I happen to write a fucking radio hit and go viral, well, whoop-de-fucking-do. You know what I mean? Like, if I do something that just makes me even better, whoop-de-fucking-do. Because, like, you don't get to control the narrative of my life. Like, and maybe that's my pride talking. Maybe that's pride. I'll say that for a second. Maybe it's pride. But, like, I don't know, man. Like, it's ridiculous. And quite honestly, I knew that this person was going to be an issue when when we had the mediation with her and my mom. I knew it then because I started talking about like ancestral trauma and like God and all that jazz. And the way that they were just staring at me like they did not understand English. Like, I already expected that from my mother, but for the way that she was staring at me like she did not understand what I was saying. What? As a mother of young children, what? You don't understand generational trauma, and like as a therapist, as a counselor, like what? Once again, I'm gonna go back to what the new counselor said. No disrespect to people. Like I definitely agree with that. I think women are way too disrespected in society as a whole. Like I agree with that. Like, and I don't ever want to contribute to that. But like, gender aside, gender does not matter. When you're fucking with somebody's life, when you're disrespecting the sanctity of life, I don't care about your gender. I don't care about your sexuality. I don't care. Like that, no. Like what? Like, because then he kept going back to that point of like, moving forward, no disrespect to women. And it's like, girl, this is not a pattern for me. This is not something that is normal for me. Like, and like, then it's weird to think that like y'all will try to make it some sort of pattern. It was like, I know how to fucking deal with people. I know how to fucking talk to people when I'm upset. But like, once again, as a person who is supposed to be helping me, I don't know, man. Like, you get what you get. You get what you get. And like, once again, I'll do my best to practice self-control and to not blow up at people. But like, I don't know. I think it's okay. I think it's justified. Like, once again, assuming that my intuition is correct and that these people are purposely trying to trigger me, I don't care. Like, you can look at me as like however you want to look at me, but like, we both know the truth. Like, you started this. You tried to piss me off. And now it's out of your control and you're like, whoa there. He's too far left. No, bitch. Like, what the fuck? You're weird. And I was in chapel service this morning and we were reminded of Ephesians 6:12. We battle not against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, and all that jazz. And once again, I do really believe in that. Every time I come into an issue with another person, I think of that in the back of my head. It's like, I know that this isn't just this person that I'm talking to. This is also their demons and their fucking trauma and their fucking, you know what I mean? And so I try to have that grace, but even still, I don't know, man. Like, I think I know too much and I've seen too much, I've experienced too much to kind of just pretend like I don't know what the fuck is going on in certain situations. In some situations I think it's necessary, but in other situations it's like, bitch, I know what the fuck is going on. Like, why are you doing that? Like, once again, let's go back to the conversation we had on the phone. Like, I'm just trying to see where all that was coming from. Look me in the eye and tell me that that is something that somebody says when they're trying to de-escalate a situation, when they're trying to resolve a situation. It's not. And maybe she wasn't aware of like the power of her words. But once again, you're the counselor. You're the one in the hot seat. You're the one who has control over my life to some degree. Like, I don't think that really computes. That doesn't really add up. You know, like, and I don't know. I don't know what I need to do to like find somebody who actually fucking gives a fuck. I don't know. I don't know if I just need to keep trying until I find somebody. Because, I don't know, man. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I shouldn't have to be dealing with this. I shouldn't have to, you know what I mean? Like, this is ridiculous, man. And like, and I think part of where my anger comes from is not just my own situation, but because I also recognize that there are people who are in much worse situations who need a lot more hands-on assistance. And then they come across people like this that I'm dealing with who give the very bare minimum. Because like, maybe this is just a special case. Maybe it's just because of who I am and like, you know what I mean? Maybe that's why I'm having such a hard time. But even still, if these people are willing to behave this way with someone like me, like, I don't know, like, it's just like, is anybody getting helped? Is anybody getting what they need? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the sort of thought process that I follow, because it's just like, I'm a very articulate person. I'm a very aware person. You know what I mean? And it's just like, once again, there are people who are not as articulate, who are not as aware of what's going on within them. And I think in those situations, it's really easy for somebody to kind of just control the narrative and drive the narrative. And I think it's so sick, man. Like, I think it's so sick. Like, because really, quite honestly, at the end of the day, whether it's ignorance, whether it's purposeful malicious, whichever one it is, I don't believe that you should be in the position that you're in if you can't handle constructive criticism, even when it's dressed up as like what appears to be an insult. Because like that's how a lot of people see it. It's like, if I bring a truth to you, it's an insult. And like there's a phrase that I've been going back to, I really appreciate, and it's like, if you bring, how do I say this? I hope I say this correctly. If you bring truth to a weak person, they will fold, they will crumble, they will get angry. But if you bring truth to a strong person, most likely they will improve, most likely they will absorb the truth, even if it's unpleasant, you know what I mean? But then the opposite, if you bring a lie to a weak person, it depends on what the lie is, obviously, but if you bring a lie to a strong person, they get offended, because it's like, why are you lying to me? Like, why are you lying on me? The fuck? And I don't know, maybe I even misquoted that, but like, you know, I don't know. I'm gonna end this here. I hope you know God loves you. I hope you know miracles happen all the time. I hope you know whatever you're going through is very temporary, and keep your head up, keep your spirits high, stay groovy. Bye.